So here with me today is CRO legend Ton Wesseling. I think within the industry you are as well known as the Pope probably, but for everybody who did not hear about you so far or who's not that involved into CRO, could you please say something about yourself? What is it that you do?
I'm Ton, I'm an optimizer. I just fell in love with websites in like 95. So I'm not as old as the Pope, but I'm indeed old or maybe experienced. It's so intriguing to be able to work with a fun group of people at, I call it solving the murder mystery, solving the puzzle, trying to optimize a app or website or email and trying to figure out what's stopping people from making that conversion. It's so much fun. So I've been doing that for 25 plus years, something. And of course it grew from being an actual really diehard practitioner to become a manager. I've set up agencies, I started events, created websites. And nowadays I do a lot of speaking, consulting. I love workshops. Just being able to spend like a full day with a team at a company and really diving in to their issues. And then, of course, helping them to move forward, because I'm not helping them anymore with oh, maybe you should change this part of the copy. No, it's more, how does your process look like? What's stopping you from growing bigger with experimentation in your company? And then it's helpful that I think I made all the mistakes you can make, from testing itself to implementing this in organization and believing something is the right approach. But I'm still learning. So maybe what I'm telling you today will fire back at me 5 years from now, and then I have to say, okay, that was actually not the best suggestion.
But that's a good point, thinking about how will it look like in 5 years. So basically, when you said yes, that you were going to join us at the Analytics Summit, I was really excited, but a bit nervous to do the interview, to be honest, because you are such an expert. You've done about, 1,000 interviews already and given talks, being on podcasts, running your own agency. And I think there is no question that you did not hear already in a talk or in an interview. So I did not want to bore you. But then I thought that maybe it's an advantage, because I was doing some research and I saw some interviews of you about like 7 years ago. And then you've been talking about how you were doing research at the time. And you basically said that you would advise people not to go through best practice blogs, whatever, but you would rather prefer to go through scientific blogs. So my question would be, again, talking about learning and how will the future look like, how are you doing research these days? And did AI change anything in the way you're doing it, for example, when it comes to scientific blogs and this kind of stuff?
Yeah, good multiple questions. My trouble with Google, but also with ChatGPT or any other solution out there, Perplexity or whatsoever, is if we ask a question like, what are the best things to do for conversion optimization or A/B testing? Give me some examples. The results that pop up are the most popular results, and everyone loves amazing case studies, like the 60% uplift, the 120% uplifts. So you will bump into articles like, if you implement these 10 things, then your conversions will double, triple, or whatever. And these are terrible resources. And the sad thing is that our industry is growing. That's good news. But this also means that the number of juniors in this industry is bigger and bigger. So the average years of experience is getting lower. And these people will go to these kind of blogs and then read stupid stuff, which they should not read and do. I always advise, like, there are a lot of tech companies out there that really know their stuff. So that's like Booking, there's like Netflix, there's Microsoft. They all have their tech blogs, where they published really in-depth stuff on how they do experimentation. These are interesting, maybe not from the start because it's quite advanced. It's the same for scientific papers. They're amazing. There's so much money spent on scientific research. And the good thing is nowadays with AI, you can really translate this in normal language because these papers are sometimes hard to read. But that's maybe the advanced, maybe too advanced in the beginning. So if you're just starting, just make sure you're not falling for those 10 tips to become paradise scenario, and just go to proper CRO courses and academies out there from the brands that know what they do. And I don't want to name a specific brand because then maybe I'm missing out on other brands. I have a couple of courses, so I can at least recommend those. But also my colleague it's not my colleague anymore. I sold my shares at the agency. So my former colleague, Ruben de Boer, I can also recommend his courses. But I think most speakers you had today that are CRO related know their stuff. I think LinkedIn is also a good source nowadays. But make sure you read through the 10 tips to do whatever headlines and go for the ones that care and actually give you proper content that you can use to learn and grow.
I see. Very good question. A lot to take from this. Thank you very much. Another question I have, and this is coming back to the talk that you had today at the Analytics Summit. I think the title was called How Companies Can Maximize the ROI that is coming from CRO. So in a nutshell, how can they do it?
More user research. I was talking to Molly Stevens, who is a user research leader at Booking.com. And I asked her the simple question. It was at the UX conference. I know you have a use database where you store all your experiments. You run thousands and thousands of experiments per year. Are you labeling the fact of these experiments are backed up by user research or not backed up by user research? Yes, they do. And yes, she told me the ones that are backed up by user research have a better winning percentage. So more success. So to maximize your CRO ROI, there is somewhere a shift between let's do only research and ship nothing, or let's do no research and ship anything we want, like throwing spaghetti to the wall. And it should be somewhere in between. You want to do proper user research to understand the journey, the behavior, where it can be optimized, create promising changes, and then run your experiments. And we clearly see a difference between spaghetti throwing to the wall and a proper research program. But it can go bad on you. If you do too much research and are not producing anymore, then you're losing money, because in the end you want to speed up the number of positive decisions to outgrow your competition. But definitely maximizing your ROI, spend more time in qualitative and quantitative research.
Okay, so research is the key. And then thinking about, I mean, you've been working in the industry for like many years, and you've seen a lot of different companies. From your experience, what is it that is keeping companies from excelling at this part? Are they missing out on the research, or what is it that is missing for them?
Experimentation mindsets, drive, laziness. I think it's not that difficult to come to the top. So to have a one-day success is doable if you have the right mindset. But staying number one, that's way harder. So you become lazy. If you compare the smaller organizations, like 60 people, 80 people, with a leadership that's data-driven decision-making, enthusiastic, likes experimentation culture, experimentation mindset, growth mindset, they move really fast forward. In a big company, maybe there are some people with this mindset and this belief, but if the majority is not in that specific belief, then it's going to be hard and it's going to be slow. And I always tell everyone those companies will die out at some point. And maybe you are in a company where you have this cash cow and it doesn't make sense to invest more to grow further because you reach your maximum and just milking the cow now. But most companies, to me, are just lazy and slow and not doing this. But it's hard. Change is hard because you need to change the way people are working. The manager needs to let go of the power of decision making. The teams have to be autonomous and getting used to the fact that the manager is not telling them anymore what to do. They have to make their own decisions. And that's hard. And that takes time.
Yeah. Very fair point. We've heard it a couple of times already today, since we had many different talks about CRO in general. And many of the other colleagues shared the idea of changing the mindset, creating a culture of CRO is something that can really make a difference. So yeah, very interesting point. One more thing I wanted to ask is, I mean, today we've learned a couple of things about you. For example, you are into football quite a lot. You also have kids. And since you have a lot of experience, I think it is very important for everybody out there to profit from your wisdom. So my question would be, if your kids would decide to go into the field of optimization, what is it that you would tell them? What is going to be very interesting for them, to really become successful and to enjoy working in the field of optimization as much as you are doing?
That's a fun question. I would say curiosity. Stimulate curiosity. So if your kid is trying to do something that's not allowed, let them try and let them fail if it leads to failing, or maybe it becomes a successful move there. But don't be too strict on things that are not allowed to do, because it kills curiosity. And I think curiosity is really important in an optimization, experimentation mindset. So I think that's one of the key things. But also, if you look at all the AI and automation that's going on for years already, machine learning, the design, development, data analysis, a lot of stuff can be automated. So it used to be a lot of work. You can do this way faster. What used to take 20 hours can now be done in 4 hours. So probably in 10 years it can be done in 1 hour or in 10 minutes. I think the unique thing in there from people is to take risks. And I think combined with an understanding of consumer behavior, or actually how the brain functions, how do people make decisions, that's really important knowledge. So if you want to be in this field, study consumer psychology, which has statistics also attached to it, but understanding how the brain functions. If you're able to understand that and then are willing to take the risks that the machine will not take, and experiment and be curious, then you will be really valuable for a lot of organizations and have a lot of fun while doing this, because it's like limitless, without borders, being allowed to play. I think that's a keyword, being allowed to play.
Being allowed to play, being curious, taking risks. Very good advice. I'll keep that in mind. So we've heard the keyword a couple of times already in this now in this interview, but also before throughout the day. It's about AI. So there's no way around AI in marketing technology, and also not in this interview. So of course I have a question that is coming to this part. So it's a two-sided question. First part would be, if you take a look at the past 2 years, what would you say? How did AI influence your way of working?
Well, I always like to dive in all sorts of information available to get a better understanding of what's going on. So I'm an information absorber, but then being able to read all the reviews from my clients and their competitors, being able to go through all the chat logs of the customer help desk, that's too much information. And of course, I was able to use some data algorithms to come up with some main insights. But nowadays, when you feed this stuff to a language model that's being trained on analyzing this stuff, it's speeding up so much more. So the work used to take 4 days. It's now half a day. But also the quality, because it's based on all the inputs, is, I believe, higher than what I was able to do myself 2 or 3 years ago. So better quality in analyzing potential interesting information that you can use for better ideation and prioritization.
So helping you in your research, as you said, research, one of the most important factors in the industry. I see. So I said it's a two-part question. First part was about the past, but now taking a look at the future, like for the next, let's say, upcoming 2 years, not to make it too big, but for the next 2 years, what do you expect to change even further? What do you expect for the industry to look like in 2 years? What will be important for companies for calling themselves, being successful at driving AI with CRO?
Maximizing personalization. I think the AI is offering a scale that we couldn't do before. So it used to be business rules, creating certain messaging or offers to specific segments. It now really can be personalized, fully automated. So AI can keep on building your website experience or your app experience. I think there's a big room where we still need improvement because it's not there yet. There's a lot of AI already in Figma and those kind of tools, but really have it live on the website, I think that's the next step. But then after that, if AI is being able to get input from all the users and how they process information and make decisions, which is still not available as a knowledge bubble for AI, if we can open that up, then it becomes really interesting, because then we can have AI create the perfect websites based on your customer profile. But then thinking further along, the dystopian futures, of course, why would I need a website anyhow or an app? Because if the company is using AI, by that time, I'll probably have my own personal assistant in my phone who is also AI that knows I want to buy some orange shoes and will negotiate with the AI from the companies to get me the best offer and make the decision for me. So then there's no interface needed at all.
Will be interesting to sit down here in about 2 years' time to see how did it change, and did we see what you were talking about? For example, way more personalization coming through AI. Would be interesting to see like how to get it cracked. We're nearly done with the interview. You're done with your talk already. Most of the talks already happened today. What is it that you enjoyed the most on the Analytics Summit today?
Usually I'm speaking at CRO-related conferences, experimentation conferences, and that is, of course, a mix of CRO talks, but a lot of analytics talks. I always like that because it's a little bit outside of my field. I started as an analyst, but I'm not doing actual analytics work anymore that often. So it's really interesting to listen to the new developments in privacy, in tech, in how do I do first-party data, how do we make decisions. So that's maybe even more interesting than going to a conference that's in my field of practice. And I really like the setup of this event. The location is high quality, screen is good, sound is good, food is really good, drinks are available, no waiting lines for the food and drinks, at least as I experience. I do calculate this always a little bit like, okay, lunch is starting. Maybe I should leave now during the Q&A so I can be first in line.
Well, experience.
But the experience I think there's nothing blocking people from learning because everything that's needed as a hygiene factor is taken well care of.
And would you say, is there anything that happened today that surprised you? Anything that you learned, maybe that you did not expect to learn or to see?
I went also to a lot of CRO sessions. I was impressed. I was thinking, if I go back 5 years in time and look at client-side speakers speaking on CRO, and now how they're speaking about the program and what they do in-house in the team and their growth is really amazing. I was always dreaming about this like 10 years ago. Oh, it would be wonderful if companies would be like this to build an experimentation culture and validate everything and having all teams enabled with at least some CRO insights and some A/B testing. And then 5 years ago, it was not there. But today, I really learned that more and more companies are getting to that level I was always dreaming of.
Yeah, great to see. Let's hope the development will continue for the next couple of years.
Yeah.
Ton, thank you so much for taking the time today to be with us on the conference, to give talk, and also to take the time for taking the time for this interview. So,
Thank you very much for having me.
Thanks.